I don't need to make a video on him. I just don't care about him that much.
10 seconds later.
I felt like I didn't even want to. I needed to make this video.
So when I woke up today, I checked my Culero campaign, and to my surprise, I only made $10 after posting my last video. It makes no sense, right? I had almost every popular YouTuber I know in the video saying how much they loved it. They have a combined subscriber count of over 25 million, and that's just on their main channels alone. But somehow my video only got 7,000 views and $10 to my campaign. Something didn't add up, so I went to my comment section to try figuring out what's wrong. Imagine my surprise when I saw that everyone was boycotting the Culero just because I'm Alex was in the video saying that he liked it. I haven't paid much attention to the comment drama community in a long time, but when they start negatively affecting my income, I have no choice but to get involved. And that's why I'm starting a new video series on my channel called Reactor Pro Bono. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in order to properly defend Alex and his associates, I needed to do a lot of research into this case. And what I've found is a ridiculous series of arguments accusing them of wrongdoing. One thing I do want to make clear from the start is that I'm in no way accusing the commentary community of malice in regards to Alex and his associates. As Hanlon's Razor says, never ascribe to malice that which is adequately explained by incompetence. As far as I can tell, everyone who's working against Alex is doing so because of what they believe to be the right thing to do. Their arguments against Alex are based on ignorance. I also want to mention that there are a few things I've seen people say in defense of Slazo that I suggest they delete from the internet. I'll explain what and why later. So to start this off, I need to explain the accusations against Alex and his associates to anyone who's unfamiliar. On June 10th, 2019, a female known as Fizzy Pop posted a statement to Twitter accusing a male YouTuber known as Slazo of being sexually aggressive and mentally abusive during their past relationship. This was the public beginning of this incident. Soon after making her statement public, many people publicly showed their support in one way or another and condemned Slazo. This group of people includes I'm Alex, Quite, King Annie, Hyojin, Bluesdank, Weast, Dolan Dark, and many others I may have missed. In this video, I will be defending anyone who sided with Fizzy Pop. Before I begin the defense, I feel that it's important to explain that the original statement against Slazo accused him of being sexually aggressive and mentally abusive. The overall aura of the statement seems to be that he was more aggressive than she was comfortable with. I also want to make it clear that I do not support Fizzy Pop or condemn Slazo because this is literally a he said she said situation and there's absolutely no way for me to choose the correct side without having more evidence. I also believe that every member of the jury needs to understand the full story before making a decision on which side they support, though they will never be able to choose the correct side with 100% certainty. The first piece of evidence being used against Alex that I'd like to acknowledge is from Slazo's video titled My Side. In this video, Slazo presents a screenshot of a direct message from Fizzy Pop dated December 12, 2016. In my personal opinion, it's very likely to be a real screenshot of real messages, but I'm also not foolish enough to bet my career on that. One of the reasons I think it's real is because if it were fake, it would have said something much more convincing in it. The message reads, "But maybe we can have some fun in the cinema." I do believe that some fun could reasonably imply some sort of contact in the cinema. But we have no way of knowing what kind of fun she had in mind. It is entirely possible that she's simply referring to having fun in each other's company. Saying that this implies consent is a long shot. This in no way implies definitive sexual consent. Just because someone sends you a message saying let's have some fun doesn't give you clearance to do whatever you want to them. But many of Slazo's supporters are reading into this message and claiming it proves she wanted it. Consenting to something at one point in time doesn't imply perpetual consent at all times in the future. I assume that this screenshot is from a few days prior to them meeting in the cinema, which is more than enough time for her to change her mind. I'd also like to point out the exact words that Slazo used when referring to this screenshot, where he said,
"It was her idea and I had no reason to believe she wasn't as in on this as I was, so..."
Judging by his specific use of words, I believe that he's implying he made the first move in the cinema, which is strange considering just prior to that statement, he claimed that she pulled his hand to her.
I was willing to call it quits there when she pulls my hand down and says to touch her.
My point is that if it's true that she pulled his hand to her, he would have used a completely different series of words in that statement. Rather than saying, I had no reason to believe she wasn't as in on this as I was, he would have said, I had every reason to believe she was as in on this as I was. If she made the first move, he would have every reason to believe that she was okay with it. But if he made the first move and she didn't stop him, he would have no reason to believe she wasn't okay with it. This leads me to believe that he is misrepresenting the facts with this statement, and it's possible that he's lying about her making the first move. Even ignoring the discrepancies in his use of words and assuming the screenshot implied perpetual consent, that consent can always be revoked. It's very reasonable to consider her statement with Slazo's screenshot and conclude that when they met sometime later in the movie theater, his idea of fun was much different than hers, or she changed her mind and revoked consent. This screenshot in no way proves that she's lying. Just to make it clear, the steps that we need to take in order to believe that this screenshot implies consent are: 1, we need to assume the phrase "maybe we can have some fun in the cinema" refers to sexual consent, which would be a long shot in a court of law. 2, we then need to assume that the sexual consent it's referring to is more than simply making out, which we have no way of knowing. And 3, we need to assume that the sexual consent is perpetual and can't be revoked at any time in the future, which is absolutely untrue. Because of these necessary assumptions needed to portray Slazo's screenshot as evidence, I believe that it's a bad idea to consider it as evidence of Slazo's innocence or evidence that Fizzy Pop lied. Slazo's response video also includes other screenshots that appear to show her saying other things that imply she was doing stuff with Slazo, but again, screenshots can be faked. I also want to point out that during a 2-year relationship, you'd expect to see thousands of messages like this if it was the normal chatter between them. If the screenshots he showed us were the most explicit conversations she had with him, I would have to expect that the rest of them were very PG, which doesn't really hold up the "she wanted it" argument in my opinion. He also used a screenshot to prove that she lied about him being her first relationship. It's more likely that she meant he was her first long-term, real relationship. If you don't think that's something anyone would ever do, let me show you this clip from Slazo's defensive video to change your mind.
And I think it's worth mentioning that I thought this was completely normal at the time as well. This is my first relationship, unless you count a week-long year 9 relationship where the most we did was hold hands on the way home. So unless you count that.
So here we have Slazo claiming she's lying and then doing the exact same thing. Lying about previous relationships wouldn't add or take away from her accusations, so I think this is much more likely. Regardless, Slazo's entire video is no more credible than Fizzy Pop's original statement. Just because Slazo said something happened doesn't mean it happened, and the same goes for Fizzy Pop. I do find his choice of words to be questionable though. Screenshots can be used as proof, but they mean nothing unless they're proven to be real. And even then, if you have to assume their meaning, they're still useless. It's my understanding that the main point Slazo was driving with his video is that she wanted it. And if the commentary community wasn't completely batshit insane, they would have stayed as far away from that defense as possible. The next piece of evidence that I'd like to acknowledge is a screenshot that includes I'm Alex, Quite, and Hyojin, where they talk about making sure Slazo can't continue. Many people are using this to imply malicious intent on their part. But with an impartial stance, all I see is them supporting their friend Fizzy Pop and wanting to stop Slazo from doing things that they believe to be true. This is in no way evidence of the group fabricating claims so they can destroy Slazo for no reason, as some people have claimed. It's only evidence of them supporting their friend who came forward to them about experiencing abuse. I've already debunked the idea that Slazo has proven his innocence with the screenshots, and at the very least, he's only created doubt. But considering this is a he said, she said situation, don't you think the people who personally know Slazo would have the most valid opinion of him? If anyone knows the guy, it's the people who have interacted with him. Instead, we have people defending Slazo who have never met the guy in real life. Do you all really want to bet your career that a guy you don't even know is innocent? At least ask his friends what they think about him before risking your career on supporting him. Instead, we have everyone calling his friends liars and attacking them. That is not the safest chess move, in my opinion. The next argument claims that Alex is a bad friend for not siding with Slazo, when in actuality, this is still a he said, she said situation. First, just because Alex knows the guy doesn't make them BFFs. As far as I know, they didn't grow up on the same street and haven't always been there for each other. One of Alex's friends accused another one of Alex's friends of being abusive. If Alex had sided with Slazo, Kavos' video would have been about Alex not supporting his friend, who is an abuse victim. If Alex sided with FizzyPop, Kavos' video would have been about Alex condemning an accused abuser friend. If Alex had stayed out of it, Kavos' video would have been about Alex not supporting one friend or the other. If anything, with the current choice Alex has made to defend the supposed victim, he's a good friend for putting himself in his current situation in order for him to support her. Alex is currently being attacked by the entirety of the YouTube commentary community, all because he put himself on the line to support her. Calling him an amazing friend wouldn't even give him the justice he deserves. Another argument used against Alex is that some of the screenshots used in FizzyPop's statement are jokes taken out of context. They're claiming that because some of the screenshots were of Slazo making edgy jokes, it makes her a liar. They're using these less important screenshots to claim that Alex is guilty of supporting her while knowing that some of the screenshots were just edgy jokes. Including edgy screenshots doesn't prove or disprove anything, and including the edgy jokes in no way proves Slazo's innocence or FizzyPop's guilt. They didn't need to be included, but they do show people the things he said to her. It's also possible that these edgy jokes made her feel uncomfortable, which could explain why she included them. FizzyPop is lacking evidence against Slazo, but this doesn't take away from her accusations, and there's no reason for Alex not to believe her just because she included Slazo's edgy jokes in her statement. Next, I want to show you the ways that information has been skewed against FizzyPop's supporters. I don't mean any offense to anyone involved in this next segment. I'm only trying to point out the areas that I have an issue with. I'm also not going to do a play-by-play breakdown of their entire videos because I'm too lazy and it's unnecessary unless they claim I'm wrong in some way, in which case I'll be forced to publicly dissect their videos in order to reiterate myself. Anyway, these are just a few inconsistencies that I've noticed. In this clip, we have Tricky Tom claiming that Dolan Dark said,
and then when pressed on the issue, he said that she wouldn't lie because he knows her personally.
My issue with this claim is that while Tom said it, he literally shows Dolan Dark's actual statement saying he believed her because he saw manipulative DMs and he knows her personally. These are similar statements, but they have different meanings. Saying you believe someone because you know them is not the same as saying they wouldn't lie because you know them. Tom changes Dolan's statement right in front of us and uses the fabricated and more ridiculous version as evidence that Dolan did something wrong. Trusting your friend is not a crime, and in this specific situation, Dolan is not guilty of anything other than that. Tom's entire video seems to be based on the idea that FizzyPop's statement claimed Slazo was more than just a sexually aggressive and mentally abusive boyfriend. When I looked at the statement, I didn't see that. And in Tom's video, he seems to agree that Slazo is likely to be those things. He denounced the idea of Slazo being a rapist, but this is odd to me because I never saw FizzyPop's group make that serious of a claim. Tom did seem to have a somewhat logical approach to his video, but he did side with Slazo and condemn Alex for supporting his friend. The main takeaway I got from Tom's video is that he agrees Slazo is sexually aggressive and mentally abusive, and denounces any idea of Slazo being a rapist, which in my opinion means he agrees with Alex because the only people calling Slazo a rapist are the people who are condemning Alex for supporting his friend. Here we have Kavos claiming that Slazo disproved his abuse allegations and creating a straw man argument by upgrading them to rape allegations.
What actually happened is later on, Slazo went and disproved these rape allegations.
Not only did I already explain how Slazo's video didn't disprove anything, I also explained that FizzyPop's allegations were of sexual aggressiveness and mental abuse. I have not been able to find any instances of them accusing Slazo of rape. But as Kavos probably knows, it's a lot easier to debunk allegations if you upgrade them to more serious allegations first. From what I've seen, the only people calling Slazo a rapist are the people who are defending him. I also want to thank Kavos for accidentally confirming that no one called Slazo a rapist. He actually handed this tweet to me on a silver platter, can you believe that? Here, Kavos calls Alex a bad friend for taking FizzyPop's side in the situation.
I couldn't even imagine the feeling Slazo must have gone through. One of his friends who he trusts, who he spent time with, screwed him over.
I think I've already explained earlier in this video how terrible of an argument that is. Just because Alex hung out with Slazo in the past doesn't make them BFFs. And if anything, it makes Alex's opinion of Slazo that much more credible than Kavos's. A bad friend? Is that the best you've got, Kavos? You sure seemed to be going back to the bad friend thing a lot throughout your video. What are you, 13 years old? You're like a living caricature of Simon Cowell. Next, in this clip, we have Kavos condemning Alex for not apologizing to Slazo.
So what do you do when you're wrong? When you're a commentator and you're wrong about something, you apologize, you rectify what you have wronged, because as a commentator, it's your responsibility to not misrepresent or lie about situations, but to tell the truth.
Cavo says that Alex should apologize for being wrong, but considering I've already explained that neither side has proven any claims, I personally don't think that Alex should apologize for having his own opinion of the guy. And that's basically all Alex said in his Twitter video that everybody keeps passing around.
My problem with Michael was him admitting to doing things that he knew Che may not have wanted to do and being incredibly forceful and almost demanding, which he admitted to doing in his video, which for me is still disgusting.
Just because he can't prove Slazo is a bad person doesn't mean he has to announce that he's a good person. And Alex certainly has the right to disconnect himself from a person that he believes is toxic. I do believe that people should apologize when they're wrong though, which is why I'm a bit disgusted with Kavos' behavior. In this clip, we can hear Kavos admit to knowing that the James Charles allegations are false.
Then why is your James Charles video with false sexual predator allegations?
Which implies he knows they're false allegations. Yet, when I looked at his video backlog, I can't find any apology to James Charles. All I see is the 4 videos he made accusing James Charles of the allegations. And in Alex's defense, Kavos literally shows us a video of Alex's video apology to James Charles in his video about Alex.
You even made a video apologizing about making that video.
In James's video, he went through every single allegation that actually mattered, the ones about him being a sexual predator, and he pretty much debunked all of them with receipts and screenshots on screen.
Am I missing something, or is Kavos being extremely manipulative to attack Alex? Does Kavos think his audience is too stupid to connect all these dots? Is Kavos' audience too stupid to connect all these dots? Who knows? There are other videos that I could easily pull apart, but I feel like I've already debunked the most prominent claims against Alex. Just know that I've watched Kavos' video, and I'm sure I could burn every single one of his claims to the ground. I also want to point out this tweet Keemstar made yesterday saying Alex was plotting to frame Slazo. In this leaked DM, all a normal person can see is Alex saying he's trying to axe abusers from their positions of power. But Keem claims he's admitting to framing Slazo of rape. Again, this is what I'm talking about. Only the people defending Slazo are using the word rape and rapist. And this DM proves nothing in regards to him trying to frame Slazo. Keem is obviously giving this DM a meaning that is not there. Does Keem think his audience is stupid enough to believe this? Is Keem's audience stupid enough to believe this? Who knows? To summarize, Alex's friend made an abuse allegation against Alex's other friend. Alex decided to support one of those friends. It's impossible for Alex to support both of those friends. Even if the allegations are false, it's not Alex's fault because he didn't make the allegations, he only believed them and supported the accuser. If Fizzy Pop had lied, which is not the case, the commentary community should be attacking her and not Alex. But we all know a video titled Fizzy Pop Lied About Slazo isn't going to get as many views as a video with I'm Alex in the title. They're targeting Alex because he's the most popular in the group, which means more views if they make a video about him. Kavos is especially guilty of this considering his subscriber count was turning to dust before he made a video about Alex. Aside from Alex's innocence in all of this, there's one very important point I want everyone to consider. So many people have jumped on this bandwagon to attack this group of people and call Fizzy Pop a liar. They're saying that she's a liar because Slazo made a video where he claimed she wanted it. When someone claims to be a victim of abuse, saying that they wanted it is never a good idea. Consider this. Alex knows Slazo better than anyone in the community who's defending him. If Alex doesn't like Slazo because of the things he personally knows about him, maybe it's a good idea to, at the very least, not defend the guy by saying she wanted it. Slazo's defense video had no realistic evidence in it other than that single excuse. So, considering that Slazo's own friends believe that Fizzy Pop is telling the truth, maybe that's a sign that Slazo isn't a saint. But if that isn't convincing enough for you, maybe Blowbacks can convince you by saying this.
He was just being an overly horny and forceful teenage boy in a teenage relationship.
Yes, that's real. In Blowbacks' video on Alex, he literally defended Slazo with those words. You can find it at 4 minutes and 28 seconds of his video titled Confronting I'm Alex on his Slazo allegations. Keep in mind that Alex and company never called Slazo a rapist. It was the I'm Alex Haters Club that spun that narrative. Fizzy Pop only accused him of being aggressive and mentally abusive. But what's a word that describes an overly horny and forceful person? It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember the word. Let's imagine that 2 years from now, Slazo were to do something that proves the allegations against him are true. You will all forever be on the record denouncing his first accuser for wanting it. Are you sure you want to risk your careers for some guy you don't even know? Are you sure that Slazo is a stand-up guy who would never do anything he's been accused of? Are you sure you don't want to ask his friends if he's a good person before you go on the record defending him? Because his friends already told you what they think of him, but you're all acting too stupid to listen to them. Kavos' videos are already archived, so it's too late for him. But a lot of you still have time to rethink your decision. We have two people who are making accusations of each other and no way of knowing the truth. At this point, an intelligent person would remain neutral, but then we have Slazo admitting to some of the accusations. So combined with Slazo's own friends thinking he's not a stand-up guy, that means, if anything, you should side against Slazo, which is exactly what Alex did. I really don't recommend you all continue with the narrative that he was just an overly horny and forceful teenager and she totally wanted it. If you tweeted something about her wanting it, I suggest you recant. You are all literally arguing for someone to be canceled because they supported their friend. I rest my case. My personal opinion is that Slazo is a sociopath.